Got it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. My name's Tresemme, Tres for short. This is David. And then this is just going over the basics, Medicare 101.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, and of course, we have to have a disclaimer. This presentation is for educational purposes only and is not a complete description of benefits. Information may vary by plan, carrier, and individual eligibility. Okay, so this is a simple breakdown of what each part helps cover, and this is Medicare Part A, B, C, and D. So Part A is your hospital coverage. That's your inpatient stay, your skilled nursing, your hospice, your home health care. You basically are given this after 10 years of working or 40 working credit hours. So Part B is your medical. That's your doctor's visits, your specialist, your outpatient care, preventative care, labs, screenings, x-rays, all of that good stuff. So that is, if you are new to Medicare, that's when you go to the Social Security office and you say, "Hey, I want to get my Part B started, and this year is a $202.90 premium. That's subject to change, go up
Every
or
year.
down." Yep.
Every year.
And with that being said, so if anybody here is new to Medicare, just because you sign up for Part B does not mean you are on a Medicare Advantage plan. Usually what that means is you just have original Medicare.
They're talking about doing auto enrollments into Part D plans. So like when you're new to Medicare, automatically, I don't know why there's a blue
Yeah, I don't know
coloring.
either.
But there is they're automatically gonna enroll you, or at least that's the talks, into a drug policy. A lot of people think that that's all they can get. A lot of people think you can only have Medicare and you can't have both Medicare and Medicaid. So there's a lot of things that people really don't truly understand how this works. And again, this is more support towards that.
Yep, and just do your due diligence, then make sure you are signed up with the Medicare Advantage plan, especially if you're paying that Part B premium. Get as much bang for your buck as you can.
Yep.
And Part C, that includes Part A and B, and that often includes Part D also. And then it may include your dental, your vision, your hearing, all those extra perks.
Yep.
And of course, Part D, that's your drugs, your medication coverage, and that can be either standalone or bundled.
So I'm gonna pause real quick. So with the Part D, right now, as in 2026, a lot of plans introduced a drug deductible. Unless you have extra help, a lot of these plans have that drug deductible. I anticipate that is going to be more common than it ever has been. I would predict that next year we're going to have some medical deductibles along with these drug deductibles hanging around. So switching your plan 2, 3 times a year is going to be more costly than it used to be. So it's more important now than it ever has been to have an agent that you trust, because if you can trust an agent and you have faith in your agent's going to do everything he can to make sure you're saving as much money versus talking to 3 different agents every time you've switched your plan. You're going to spend way more than you probably should. So when you have the medical and the drug deductibles, and we'll get into that, it's something that we need to really hone in on and focus on, because it will start to eat away at your pocket.
Okay, then just going back to original Medicare versus a Medicare Advantage plan. So original Medicare pays 80% and then you pay 20% of the services rendered. So if you have $1,000 bill from the hospital, Medicare is going to pay 800 of that and you're liable for 200. So the thing with original Medicare is that there is no cap. So with Medicare Advantage plans, you have a max out of pocket. That is your financial safety net. You have a max out of pocket of $2,000. You're not paying any more than $2,000 for the year with that plan. But with the original Medicare, you get a $20,000 bill in the mail, you're liable for that. There is no safety
You're
net.
stuck. You can't go get Medicaid and Medicaid back or pay you for a service that was rendered before the fact. And with the max amount of pocket, only 3% of people reach it. So the lower that is, the better protected you are.
Yep. Then with original Medicare, we'll get into this in a few more slides, but it's a fee-for-service model of care, which is basically outdated, while Medicare Advantage plans have a value-based model of care, which we'll explain.
I don't know. Did I mess up the slides?
Yeah, that's
Of course I
okay.
did. They're all
Okay, well, you can explain.
okay. Fee for service versus value-based care. Okay, just like what it sounds. Fee for service. A doctor gets a set dollar amount or a fee for rendering services. ordering an MRI, a CT scan, an X-ray, lab work. That's fee for service. The more services means more dollars for the more profit for the doctor. That can get real mushy and
Real gray, real fast.
yeah. So a lot of that model of care is a lot of plans are going away from that model of care and how doctors are compensated. With value-based care, it really is on the outcome and quality of care. The star rating how the star ratings are essentially a report card. Each plan has its own individual star rating. The higher the star rating, the better the quality. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be on the best plan if you have the highest star rating. Now, with that being said, that's being remeasured on how that's calculated. So they're reevaluating that for 2027 plans. But essentially, a big factor is the outcome and quality. How they manage long-term health conditions, diabetes, cancer, heart issues, member retention. It's more about the overall experience and the health of the member versus just saying, hey,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
assign you to get 20 different things done, X-rays, CT scans, a whole 9 yards, when you really don't
yeah,
need it.
yeah. So it's just overall they're incentivized to keep you as healthy as possible, make sure that they are doing their best, the best they can for you.
Yep.
HMO, PPO, HMO, POS. Okay. You see a lot more HMO POSs now. Essentially what that is like that's like the middle ground. I wish I could get the blue line off of this.
I know it's bugging me too.
But that's like hold on, while Judge tries to fix
You
this.
can keep talking.
Oh, nope, you messed it all up. Just
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, I won't touch it.
Okay. So with an HMO POS, it's a lot like an HMO, but it has some out-of-network coverage, specifically in like the dental area of it all. You do need your primary doctor. Like I said, you do have admit them.
I am. Just keep talking.
Okay. Well, I can't when it's blocked, honey.
It's right there.
Sorry. Okay. So you can go out of network in some instances with the dental. A lot of these plans are offering that feature. With HMO policies versus PPO, that's the big debate. Which one's better for me, right? So an in-network doctor, you do need that with an HMO. I think you should have that no matter what. That is my personal opinion. I think that you're being not the most responsible if you're in a PPO and you don't have a primary doctor. I don't think that's smart, but hey, who am I? With a PPO, you're going to have the in and out of network options, but every time you go out of network, your cost can go up.
And
What you're going to be responsible
yeah.
for.
PPOs are great when you are living in a very remote area, and if you have a beach house or somewhere like that. So PPOs are very good in certain circumstances.
Yeah, and like with the HMOs, a lot of people don't care about the network not being able to go out of network, but what people care about more than not is really the referral aspect. But a lot of these specialists nowadays still want that referral regardless if you're on a PPO or not. You always are going to have that one person that is a little bit more dramatic than not, or a little bit more worried than not, and that's just fact. We're always going to have those type of people, so it's a way to save the dollars for the doctors. So they don't want to see somebody that doesn't need to be seen, if it's a heart doctor, for instance. But like I said, a lot of doctors are requiring referrals regardless of the type of plan that you have. But more and more, these HMO policies are having that feature with the no referral requirement. You can go to the next slide now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so there's extra benefits you guys may not know about, but I'm sure you're getting flyers, you're seeing all kinds of commercials right now. So the first one, the most popular, is the food card. So this helps with approved groceries and healthy foods, and this is eligible for certain members. So usually they're eligible for people with Medicare and Medicaid, and if you have a chronic condition.
Yeah.
So they're making it harder to obtain these cards just because there was a lot of benefit hopping last year and they're trying to reduce that.
And overall, I want you guys to understand this important aspect. This is hard. because of how I'm gonna be completely straight with you because we see this more often than we don't. Benefit hopping. Benefit hopping does nobody any good. People get it's very expensive. A lot of individuals are on a fixed income, but benefit hopping, they rely too heavily on the food card. That's
And we don't want to sound insensitive because things are very tight right now. I tell everyone, shoot, you step outside on your porch and you're spending $100 on nothing. So,
I'm personally no factual evidence, but I just based off of market trends, how everything is moving. I personally think the food card is going to get less and less year over year. I personally think that, and those that rely on that, it helps, but don't try to heavily rely on it because that can be taken away from you. That's setting you up for an unexpected episode, I
mhm.
guess,
Yep.
financial episode.
Yeah,
Go on
because
with.
with over-the-counter cards also, which are offered to people just with Medicare or with chronic condition plans. Um, can you admit? Okay. So basically with that, so you can get offered $100 a month on a prepaid spending card, but you may have a medical deductible. You may see 5 different specialists with let's just say a $50 copay. So if you look at your actual insurance, you're more than likely losing out on money. So just be aware of that
Yep.
also.
Yep. Talk about.
Then yeah, chronic conditions, so people with diabetes, heart issues, kidney failure. So that could help you qualify for one of those food cards. Then so basically what happens is it's called a VCC form. So it's verifying chronic condition. The carrier should send you a VCC form. Then you will have to give that to your doctor, and your doctor can either sign it and fax it over. They have a portal called Avail what is it, availability or
Dude, I don't know.
something like that. Then they can submit it through that, or they can call the carrier and just verify your conditions. So with a lot of chronic condition plans, people get kicked off because the doctors and the carrier
Yeah,
are,
60 days.
yep, aren't talking to each other
Yeah,
essentially. So
there's a misstep. I don't know how else to say it.
So there's some carriers who are addressing this issue. I just read the email today that soon agents will be able to submit that form.
Sweet.
So
So there you
that's
guys go.
more coming on that one. Then formulary exception. So this is for people with medications. Okay.
You want me
So
to touch on this?
hold on, I will. Carriers all come together and say, "Hey, this is the most common meds that people are taking right now." So
Yeah.
they make a whole list. And so what happens is when you're on that one-off medication, it's not on the list, so you have to submit a formulary exception. That
Easiest way to say it. Humalog versus Novolog. Both are treatments for diabetes. They're both insulin. But let's say one plan covers Humalog but doesn't cover Novolog, but that one plan that does not cover Novolog is genuinely the best plan for you, and you need the alternative, the one that you were, the Novolog, not the Humalog. The doctor can submit a formulary exception saying, hey, Miss Johnson needs Novolog because she has maybe an allergic reaction or whatever to Humalog. So that's a formulary exception to try to get it approved to be on the formulary for you. So formulary exceptions are something that a lot of people don't know about because that's more of like a back end thing that the doctor does.
Yep. Okay, then of course, costs that people don't expect that start adding up. So copays, your hospital copays and your specialist visits, those get very expensive very fast. Your drug cost tiers, you can touch base on that one more.
Drug toss.
The
Okay, tier
tiers.
1, tier 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the whole 9 yards, right? So you have different drug tiers. Usually these formularies have 5, some consider them 6, but it's basically a classification of your medicine. Your tier 1, your tier 2s generally don't have to worry about meeting a deductible for. Why? Because that's your maintenance medicine. So you can think about that as your maintenance medicine. The most common medicines, that's like your atorvastatin, your lisinopril, your losartan, your furosemides, so on and so forth. Maybe levothyroxine for your thyroid. Those are your most common medicines, and there's a long list. So I'm not going to list them all, but nonetheless, then you start to get to like your tier 3, your tier 4, your tier 5. Your tier 3s are usually like your insulins, your pain medicines. Then your tier fives, those are your specialty tiers, whether they're like for cancer or for AIDS or whatever that may be. And then so like each one has a different classification, and each classification is can be charged up to a different amount. So that's really what that is. The agent, that's you should know just because it's something that's going to protect your dollar, but it's really the agent's responsibility to make sure they explain all this to you.
Yep. Then your max out of pocket, your financial
That's what I like
protection. This
about
is your
these
big
too.
safety net. This is probably one of the most important things that you need to look at. So right now, what is it? $9,250. That's where it's capped out for the year. I don't know anybody who has $9,000 laying around if you do have a medical emergency. So basically the goal as agents is to get that as low as possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
just in case a medical
Yeah, I
emergency
get
does
it.
happen.
Get it.
Now only 3% of Medicare recipients ever reach a maximum amount of pocket. Okay. So let's say now the standard for 2026 on HMO is 9,250. If I'm not mistaken, with PPOs, the combined move is 13,000. Don't touch that. 13,900. So I think that's going to go up too. I'm just going to be real. I think that's going to go up too. But although that's a standard, you want it to be as low as possible. Even though 3% of Medicare recipients ever reached that, doesn't mean you're not going to be one of those 3%. Okay? So keep that in mind when you go plan hunting. It's a huge thing to look at. If your maximum out of pocket is 3,000 and your plan is pretty good, but there's a plan that has a maximum out of pocket of 6,000 and you might get $20 more on an over-the-counter allowance card,
No.
it might not be the best decision to make. Obviously, use your best judgment, but nonetheless, max amount of pocket is simply your safety net.
Yep. Then of course your dental and vision. So dental's the big one. So basically, a lot of carriers provide a dental allowance.
Yeah,
Most of
about the
them do.
vision. I
Hmm.
need another pair of glasses.
Yes, well, same here. But with dental, for example, a lot of agents aren't relaying, hey, you have a $3,000 dental allowance, but you have to pay a 50% co-insurance up front. So be aware of that. There's always fine print. Just make sure ask the right questions, and
Yeah.
that's a big one to ask.
Yep. Okay, we kind of already touched up on this, so I'm not gonna stay on the slide for too long. Your max amount of pocket, let's say it's $4,000. That's great. Keep that keep that plan. If you listen to me, I think that you'll be in the right spot. But nonetheless, don't go to a plan that's $9,250.
Unless
So
it's
let's
super
say
heavy.
for this scenario, your max amount of pocket is 4,000. You have a doctor visit, a test, and a hospital stay. You pay either co-pays, co-insurances for each service. So doctor visit, maybe the specialist is $40. For your MRI, your CT scans, PET scans, X-rays, maybe they run an accumulation of $400 in tests. And then a hospital stay. Let's say that made up the rest of the amount that you needed to come out of to reach that $4,000. Once you reach that $4,000 max amount of pocket, what you come out of pocket, then the insurance company is going to take care of everything 100%. Like I said, only 3% reach the max amount of pocket, but life happens and life happens fast. Medical deductible. A lot of people get the max amount of pocket confused with the medical deductible. So when I tell somebody about a plan that has a $4,000 max amount of pocket, a lot of the times if I don't explain it in the right way to that person, they think that's their deductible. I'm like, no, 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 complete opposite. Your medical deductible is like the starting line. Your max amount of pocket is like the finish line. So if you have a $500 medical deductible, and we have YouTube videos on this, and we will continue to post more content about like smaller videos, smaller clips, so it's easier to follow along, going over all of this stuff. But like with your medical deductible, let's say you need to have an MRI. A lot of these plans that have those medical deductibles, you're going to have to meet a deductible for that MRI. Now, you only have to meet your deductible once. So it's not like for each service you have to come out of pocket $500. But you pay that out of pocket, and once you've paid that $500 out of pocket, it's when the plan kicks on, and you start to just pay the co-pays for those services, not the deductible up front. Um, so let's say your MRI is $300 is your responsibility, but the whole MRI cost is $1,000. Well, you're gonna have a $500 medical deductible plus a $300 co-payment. That's $800 out of your pocket, and the plan's gonna cover the remaining cost of that. So again, deductibles are also a very important thing to follow along.
And with the extra benefits like the over-the-counter card, food card,
Don't let that
don't
be
get
your
blinded.
primary.
Yeah, don't get blinded by that because sometimes the medical deductible slips in there.
You're maxing
So,
out of pocket, your deductibles, your co-payments, and your star rating is the four key components that you need to look at. And obviously, you guys have Trez and I, but those are the four key components you look at for a solid plan. Everything is like the cherry on top of your ice cream, for example. So that's an easy way to look at it. Hit on the drug deductible.
here you can do that.
The same thing. You had a tier 3 med. Let's say it's a hydrocodone. You're gonna have to come out of pocket $300 before that hydrocodone dropped down to $47. Why is it dropping down to $47? That's your portion. That's your cost share of the medicine cost. The insurance then will start taking care of the remaining
And how
balance.
they calculate that is above our pay grade.
Yeah,
So,
we just
yeah.
okay. This is the plan. We study the plans and we dumb it down for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the cash back versus the over-the-counter
This
benefit.
is your alley.
Yeah. So, okay, for people who don't know, the give back is basically where a plan will give you money back into your Social Security to help pay for your Part B premium. So one common one, let's just say $184. This plan does the give back. So that $184 you're going to see back in your Social Security, and that usually goes to help pay for your Part B premium. And these plans are tailored for very healthy people or people who have the VA. So, with that being said, I'm talking healthy as in you only see your primary care doctor once a year and
You're
you're
not
on
medically needy.
5 or less meds.
Yeah, not
That's
medically needy. That's the easiest way to explain who this fits.
so that kind of helps reimburse and justify, hey, why am I paying $202 when I'm super healthy? So that kind of helps them out. So with that being said, if you have partial or full Medicaid, if your Part B premium is being paid for, you will not see this give back. You will not see that $184. So there's no point in even looking at that if your Part B is being paid for by someone who is not you.
And again, they're working with Social Security to pay down what your Part B responsibility is. So if you're getting a $184 give back, that's how you're getting the money is because they're deducting less from your check.
Mm-hmm. And okay, and then another scenario, let's just say you're a little bit more on the sickly side. Unless you're really, really struggling in certain situations, you have no business being on the give back plan because you can't have your cake and eat it too. So
No.
where you're getting a give back is probably higher copays.
Yep.
So be aware of that.
Yep.
Okay, now moving on to the over the counter card. So it's money loaded onto a prepaid spending card, and of course, it's used for approved items, and it reloads either monthly or quarterly. And depending on your plan, you have to read the fine print. You either use it or lose it.
Let's pause. Go into how the
Yep.
OTC can be used and why.
Yep, I'm about to get there. So basically what happened was people were abusing the OTC card. And so what plans are doing now, the carriers, they're restricting the usage
When
or
they
how they use the card.
when they say abusing, right? And this is not the only way it was abused, but we know as a fact, just based off of who we talked to, that some of the allowances somehow, some way were used for the items that were not supposed to be used for.
Like alcohol.
Like alcohol, right? So you always know there's a way around it, but they're tightening up to make sure that fraud, waste, abuses.
Yep, and the ways they're tightening up is let's just say one carrier just says, hey, you can only use your card at CVS. That's one example, or their own personal catalog that
Yep.
they offer. So be aware of that for next year, especially. I'm predicting that that's going to tighten up a
Yeah.
lot. So when each option might fit you, this will be.
We touched up on this
Yeah.
too. We're kind of ahead of the curve, but the give back plans, you don't go to doctors often. You may see your primary once, twice a year, or you're a veteran. You don't take very many medications. You'd rather just have that extra money because you're not medically needy. This is a perfect plan for you.
Yep, and hey, that give back sounds great, but the trade-offs are usually higher copays and higher max out
There's
of
always a
pocket.
catch. I don't care who
Yep.
you're talking to. Again, I'm not harp on this because it's more important than ever. Find a good agent. If it's not Trez or myself,
Yep.
Find a good agent.
Have an agent who tells you the good and bad of each plan.
Yeah, no plan is sexy, guys. If you think that, you're being ignorant. I'm
Yep.
sorry, but that's the truth.
Yeah, there's always a little portion that's a little. Hmm. Okay, then your over-the-counter cards. Okay, so these tend to fit people who use their benefits more regularly. You see a specialist and have ongoing care. You want help covering everyday health items. Like for example, some people who have to use, the diapers because it's just getting to that time. That helps cover those costs.
Yeah,
And you prefer lower costs when you use services, which means those specialist copays are going to go down. They're
yeah.
usually on average lower. Okay. So this is a very important one. So which one is better for you? So I know a lot of people talk and they say, well, my friend has Humana and they love Humana, or my friend has United Healthcare and they love United Healthcare. I cannot stress enough. Great. That's great, but it may not fit your situation. So just be open-minded. Um, Go ahead.
So, superlative. You can't objectively say this is the best plan for you.
Hmm.
Everybody's situation is different. When you're talking to agents, guys, we'll get into this too, but when you're talking to agents, if they say best, they're not supposed to be saying best. You should probably just question their entire phone call with you. Be honest, honestly, like you got a CYA now, like for real, guys. That's all.
Okay. Then so a few questions. How often are you using your plan? What matters more, cash or coverage? Then the best plan isn't the one with the most extras. It's the one that actually fits how you use it.
Yep, yep,
Cannot stress that enough.
yep.
All right. And this is another big one to harp on. You can,
Yeah, and these are like the more basic that people ask. Are my doctors in network? Well, yeah, the agent should be going over that. The
yep.
addresses. Are my prescriptions covered? Yeah, the agent should be telling you which ones need formulary exceptions, how to go about doing that. If the agent's not going into that detail, you probably just
You probably should hang up the phone.
again, trusted agent, find one. Do I need referrals? Not becoming as big of a thing as it was. What is my max amount of pocket? That is becoming more of a notable feature on these plans that people are focusing on. But I'm just trying to make sure you guys are ahead of the curve by
We should probably
beating
add,
that horse.
do I have a medical deductible
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
We'll probably be adding that. Okay.
This is my favorite.
I know this
Tell
is.
about your story. What you did.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So let me tell you, I goofed up. So I was just, diddling around on my phone and I put in my information for insurance just because I was looking. And this was before my VA started up. So when I'm telling you, I was harassed nonstop. What within 10 minutes, I swear to God, I got like 15 phone calls, all from like the same people. I would ask for their MPN number. Asking,
Employer.
yeah, employer, they would just hang up on me.
Say, don't be silly. That's not public information.
Hey,
I don't have that. No, that's BS, guys.
yep.
So NPN is your national producer number. That is literally like a license number, a social security number, EIN. That is a sacred number. Not that your identity can be stolen, but it's sacred in the context of that's how you're verifying the legitimacy of an agent. If they don't know what an NPN, if they don't know what a captive versus or if they don't know if they're a captive or independent agent, and if they don't give you your employer or their employer name, they're probably not legit. Hang the phone up because you're
Hmm.
going to be taken advantage of. That
Yep.
that's something that is very important that an agent knows, and if the agent does not know that, they're not a great agent.
And not only that, but another thing I noticed was that they try to bulldoze you. And
Yeah,
by bulldozing, I mean not acknowledging what you're saying and just trying to push the conversation forward. With that being said, if they're not addressing your questions, hang up the phone.
yeah, yeah. So W-2 employee, I'm gonna hit on this because I'm gonna share my experience. And I got somebody in this room actually that had shared this experience with me. Two people. W-2 employee. It's those are usually your captive agents. Captive agents doesn't mean you're a bad agent, doesn't mean that you're a scummy agent, doesn't mean any of that. But captive agents are more restricted. They're usually set to like an 8:30 to 5, 9 to 5, 8 to 6.
Your normal work
Your
hours.
normal work hours are confined to a schedule. Whereas an independent agent, they're not working for an employer. They have contracts through an upline or they get paid directly through the carrier. They're not confined to a 9 to 5. So the accessibility is a little bit greater with independent, a lot greater with independent versus captive. Now, here's the big kicker with captive agents, they can only see or only offer what their employer is allowing them to offer. They have no control based off of their contracts. They have no control if okay, Gold Kidney is a big one in Arizona and Florida. I I'm gonna give you my experience. I had a guy request to be with Gold Kidney. I never got my contract finalized or finished when I went independent. So I said, yeah, give me a couple of weeks, give me a couple, and he was patient, but I got contracted under independent instead of captive agent, and we got him in the Gold Kidney. A captive agent can't do that. So a captive agent can't say, "Hey, John, hey, Miss Smith, there's a better plan out here. I'm not contracted with the carrier. Let me take some time to get contracted. Here's what this plan's offering." Does that sound good to you? Yeah, sure. They can go do that. A captive agent cannot do that. So a captive agent, because they're quota based, they have a compensation structure that is tiered. So let's say a captive agent, their comp structure looks like 20, 30, $40. But let's say they start only making $20 once they get 21 sales. So from the 21st sale to the 30th sale, they're making $20 each sale. Then it gets bumped up from 31 sales to 40 sales, it'll get bumped up to $30 in its entirety for each sale, and so on and so forth. So they're quota based. As you can imagine, that can get real murky, real fast, real rushed. They're not taking their time with you. It's more pressure based. Not Doesn't mean that's malicious. Does not mean that is malicious. I know some really, really great captive agents.
Yep.
It's just how they are contracted. So
And
again,
not only that, but usually it's health insurance too. They get offered health insurance.
so just keep it is,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a good buddy that is unable to go independent because of health insurance. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means be aware of it. Okay, here you go.
All right, this is extra help such as Medicaid. So partial Medicaid, as I touched on earlier, covers the Part B premium. You still have copays. You're not fully cost share protected. Full Medicaid, however, though, your Part B premium is paid for and you have $0 copays usually across the board. To apply for Medicaid, you need to contact your state Medicaid agency and set an appointment or do it online. I recommend doing it online through their portal just because it's faster. You're going to get faster results, basically. And I know depending on your area too, whenever you make an appointment with your Medicaid agency, sometimes it takes up to weeks to months. So just be aware of that. It is not an overnight thing. It takes quite a while. And for LIS, which is extra help. So this helps keep you cost share protected for your medications. So there's 3 different levels, level 1 and 2. They will charge you up to $12.65. If you have a $45 drug, they can only charge you up to $12.65. And level 3 is up to $4.90. And usually when you have level 3, you also have Medicaid. Then to apply for extra help, you contact your Social Security office.
So on the tidbit here, Medicaid. Let's say I'm in Ohio, I have Medicaid in Ohio, but I'm moving to Missouri. That was my situation, guys. So if I'm in Ohio, I need to apply for Missouri Medicaid because the Medicaid doesn't follow. It's state-based. Whereas Extra Help, your LIS, that is a federal program that follows you. Medicaid does not. So that's a key thing to remember if you're moving.
And just from our experience, a lot of people this year have lost Medicaid. So get on the portal, make sure you know what your SSA.gov or
SSA.gov.
yeah, your login information, and watch your Medicaid like a hawk.
Yeah. Just guys, you're getting bombarded with mail, but if it's from a state
If it's
office, you probably should keep it.
Social Security office, keep it. And if you have questions, because I know it all sounds like a bunch of gibberish on that.
Yeah.
They don't speak clearly, and send it to us and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And again, it's all overwhelming, but that's why we keep doing these. That's why we have YouTube.
Yeah.
Websites to help with drug cost. So you have your GoodRx, that's great. You have Trump RX, that's newer. It just got launched a couple of months ago. This is Mark Cuban, Cost Plus Drugs. That's also good. These are just stuff that we found online. We thought we would throw it on there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why it's doing that
I don't know
either.
either. But this is RX Assist, Nini Meds, SPAP. That is a state pharmaceutical assistance program. Excuse the lines. I'm sorry about that. SPAP, that's usually for your HIV/AIDS. If you're in New York, you can get basically SPAP anywhere, as long as you have the criteria met, but it's not based off of your illness, it's based off of your age. But anybody can apply for Epic in New York. You have the Pan Foundation, or like you for like your Monjaro, your Eliquis, your more expensive medicines, your Entresto. Contact the manufacturer if you're having if you're having a hard time trying to afford it. You can contact the manufacturer. You can see if you can apply for their savings program or discount program, whatever they're calling it. And then there's another way.
We're always
Oh,
looking
if you
for
have
new
extra
ways.
help, if you
Yeah.
have extra help, don't ask your doctor to write a 90-day supply. Why? Your cost share protected. So let's say I have extra help at level one at 100%. That means the most I can get billed for one medicine is $12.65. Let's say that one medicine is I don't know, let's say it's Eliquis. I can get Eliquis for a 90-day supply. But if I only get Eliquis for a 30-day supply, I'm going to pay $12.65. But if I get Eliquis for a 90-day supply,
You're still paying that
yeah, so you're
$12.65.
saving 24 bucks. So that's another way to save some money. Agents don't really tell a lot of
Yeah.
clients.
Pennies on the dollar, they count.
And let me, real quick, I'm going to get out of this page. I'm going to show you something. Okay, the YouTube channel, guys. I'm promoting it a lot. Why? These videos that we're doing, they it's long. It's an hour and a half. I'm gonna tell you, I don't remember everything I say, right? But we do brainstorm a lot what we can do to create content to help things. So like we did a happy belated birthday challenge questions, the three challenge questions again. What is your NPN? Are you independent or captive? Who is your employer? Those are things that you can verify. Our prediction for 2027, and we send these out in our text campaigns as well. But overall, we really do try to just make sure you have all the resources at your fingertips because we know you guys are not getting as much help as you probably should, especially when you consider how complex Medicare is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Let's pause the recording and then we'll do the Q&A. Okay. Oh, that's Carolyn drawing. Carolyn, you're drawing on my screen. Okay, hold on. Let me figure out how to stop the recording.
Oh,
Oh, Trez, you never record. Wait, how do you stop the recording, Trez?
you go up there.
Recording locally.
Here.